Claire Martinez looked out the small window of her ship and saw the massive space station growing larger ahead of them. Nexus Prime was huge, built from dark metal and glass that reflected the light of distant stars. She had never seen anything like it before. No human had. "Are you nervous, Ambassador?" asked Captain Jake Sullivan from the pilot's seat. His voice was calm, but Claire could see the worry in his eyes. "A little," Claire admitted. She smoothed down her blue diplomatic uniform and checked her notes one more time. "This is the most important day in human history. First contact with an alien civilization. I want to get it right." Jake nodded. He had been against this mission from the start. "Too dangerous," he said. "Too many unknowns." But Earth's government had decided that diplomacy was the way forward. Claire was their best negotiator, and she believed in peace above all else. Their ship, the Terra Nova, was small and clearly built for science, not war. Claire had insisted on this. She wanted the aliens to see that humans came in peace. No weapons, no threats, just hope for friendship between the stars. "Incoming transmission from Nexus Prime," said Lieutenant Mary Collins from her station. "They're giving us docking instructions." The voice that came through the speakers was strange, with clicks and whistles mixed in with the words. But the translation software worked perfectly. "Human vessel Terra Nova, you are cleared for docking Bay 7. "Welcome to Nexus Prime," Claire smiled. "Thank you, Control. We're honored to be here." The docking process took 20 minutes. When it was complete, Claire gathered her small team. Besides Jake and Mary, she had brought Dr. Peter Kane, a linguist, and Commander Lisa White, a security officer who had reluctantly agreed to leave her weapons on the ship. "Remember," Claire told them as they prepared to leave, "we represent all of humanity today. Let's show them what we're capable of." The airlock opened with a soft hiss. Beyond it was a corridor filled with beings unlike anything from Earth's imagination. There were tall, thin creatures with blue skin and 4 arms. Short, furry beings with large eyes. Something that looked like a walking tree. And many others. At the front of the group stood a being that was clearly in charge. It was humanoid, but larger than any human, with golden skin and eyes like liquid silver. When it spoke, its voice was deep and commanding. "I am General Vexthal of the Cruthery people," it said. "I speak for the Zephyrian Coalition. You are the human ambassador?" Claire stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Claire Martinez, representing Earth and all humanity. We're grateful for this opportunity to meet you." Vexthal looked her up and down, as if measuring her worth. "You are smaller than we expected. Your species is young, isn't it?" "We're new to space travel," Claire agreed. "But we're eager to learn and to contribute to galactic civilization." "Contribute?" Vexthal's laugh was not pleasant. "What could a species that has barely left its home system possibly contribute to us?" Claire felt the insult but kept her voice steady. "We have much to offer: our technology, our art, our perspectives. We believe diversity makes everyone stronger." The general made a sound that might have been amusement. "We shall see. Come, the council waits." They walked through corridors that seemed to stretch forever. The station was clearly ancient and impressive, with carvings and artwork from dozens of different species. Claire tried to take it all in, but Vexthal kept a quick pace. The council chamber was enormous, with representatives from what Claire assumed were all 12 species of the Coalition. They sat in a circle, with humans given seats at the bottom, looking up at the others. "Begin your presentation," Vexthal commanded. Claire had prepared for this moment for months. She activated her holographic display and began showing Earth's achievements, cities that reached toward the sky, art that moved the soul, music that spoke to the heart, scientific discoveries that revealed the secrets of the universe. Some of the aliens seemed impressed. Others looked bored or dismissive. But Claire pressed on. showing humanity's potential for growth and cooperation. "We don't seek to conquer or dominate," she said. "We want to learn from you and share what we know. Together, we can build a better galaxy for everyone." When she finished, there was silence. Then Vexthil stood. "Interesting," he said. "Your species shows promise, but also danger. You grow too quickly. You adapt too fast. You could become a threat to the established order." "We're not a threat," Claire said quickly. "We want peace." "Peace," Vexthil repeated. "Yes, you shall have peace, the eternal kind." Claire felt something cold settle in her stomach. "What do you mean?" "The Coalition has discussed your species at length," Vexthil said, walking slowly around the chamber. "We have studied your history, your wars, your expansion. You are like a virus that spreads too quickly." "That's not true," Claire protested. "We've learned from our mistakes. We've grown beyond our violent past, have you?" Vexthil smiled, showing teeth that were too sharp. "Your escort carries weapons even now, despite your promises of peace." Claire looked at Jake, who had gone pale. "Standard safety equipment," she said. "Any reasonable person would understand that." "Reasonable," Vexthil nodded. "Yes, we are reasonable. Which is why we cannot allow your species to spread beyond your system. You understand." The other aliens began to stand. Claire noticed that many of them had their hands near what could only be weapons. "Wait," she said, her voice rising. "You can't just decide our fate like this. We have rights. We have the right to exist." "Rights?" Vexthil laughed. "Rights are given by the strong to the weak. And you, humans, are very weak." Jake stepped forward. "Ambassador, we need to leave, now." But it was too late. Vexthil raised his hand, and energy weapons appeared from hidden panels around the chamber. The other aliens aimed them at the small human delegation. "The Coalition has decided," Vexthil announced. "Humanity will serve as an example to other young species. You will learn that the galaxy belongs to those who have earned it." Claire stood straight, facing the weapons pointed at her. "If you do this, you'll regret it. Humanity doesn't give up. We don't surrender." "How touching," Vexthil said. "But empty words from a dying species." He gave a signal. The weapons fired. Claire Martinez, Earth's first ambassador to the stars, died instantly. The other humans watched in horror as her body fell to the floor. "Take the survivors back to their ship," Vexthil ordered. "Let them carry word to their people. Let all of humanity know what happens to those who dare to dream beyond their station." Jake knelt beside Claire's body, his hands shaking. "You bastards," he whispered. "You have no idea what you've just done." Vexthil heard him and smiled. "Enlighten me, human. What have we done?" Jake looked up, his eyes filled with tears and rage. "You've just declared war on the most stubborn, vengeful, and creative species in the galaxy. And we're going to make you pay for every drop of her blood." The aliens laughed as they escorted the surviving humans away. They had no idea that they had just lit a fuse that would burn down their entire civilization. The news hit Earth like a bomb. Captain Jake Sullivan stood before the Global Defense Council, his face pale and his hands shaking as he told them what happened. The recording of Claire Martinez's murder played on screens around the world within hours. President Linda Hayes watched the footage for the 10th time, her jaw clenched tight. She had known Claire personally. They had been friends since college. Now Claire was dead, killed by aliens who thought humans were nothing more than insects to be stepped on. "How many of them are there?" asked General Bob Parker, head of Earth's military forces. 12 species in their coalition, Jake replied. "Maybe 1 billion beings total, spread across 40 star systems. They control most of the trade routes in this part of the galaxy, and they just decided to kill our ambassador?" President Hayes asked, though she already knew the answer. "They said we were growing too fast, that we were dangerous." Jake's voice was bitter. They wanted to make an example of us for other young species. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. Earth wasn't just facing one enemy. They were facing an entire galactic empire that had decided humanity needed to die. Admiral Rick Carter, the man in charge of Earth's small space fleet, spoke up. "We have 37 ships capable of interstellar travel. Most of them are explorers. Or cargo vessels. We have maybe 12 actual warships." "Against how many enemy ships?" asked President Hayes. "Unknown. But probably thousands." Dr. Kate Morgan, who ran the Secret Weapons Research Program, cleared her throat. "Mr. President, there's something you need to know about Project Prometheus." President Hayes turned to her. "I thought that was just theoretical research." It was. Until 3 months ago. Kate activated a holographic display. "We've been working on new weapons based on alien technology we found on some old crashed ships. The results are impressive." The display showed test footage of weapons that could punch through solid steel like it was paper. Ships that could turn invisible. Missiles that could think for themselves and hunt their targets. "How long before these are ready for combat?" asked Admiral Carter. "Most of them are ready now," Kate said. "We've been building them in secret facilities around the solar system. The alien attack just moved up our timeline." President Hayes stood up. "They think we're weak because we're young. They think we'll roll over and die like scared animals." Her voice grew harder. "They're about to learn why Earth's apex predators survived everything our planet threw at us." She turned to the assembled leaders. "I'm declaring a state of emergency. All civilian space travel is suspended. All military forces are now under direct presidential command. And I'm authorizing Operation Righteous Fury." "What's Operation Righteous Fury?" asked General Parker. "Something we hoped we'd never need," Admiral Carter replied. "It's our plan for total war against a superior enemy. We can't match them ship for ship, so we don't fight fair." President Hayes nodded. "Commander Alex Torres will lead our first strike force. His job is to show these aliens that killing humans has consequences." Commander Torres stepped forward. He was young for such an important command, but he had proven himself in the outer system conflicts. "What are my orders, Mr. President?" "Find the aliens responsible for Claire's murder, make them pay. And make sure every species in the galaxy knows what happens when you kill a human diplomat." "Understood, sir." Dr. Kate Morgan spoke up again. "Commander, your ships will be equipped with our latest weapons. The Vengeance, Retribution, and Fury's Edge are being fitted with experimental systems as we speak." "What kind of systems?" Torres asked. "Stealth drives that make you invisible to their sensors. Quantum torpedoes that can punch through any known shield. And something we call the Fury Protocol." "Which is?" Kate smiled, but it wasn't a pleasant smile. "You'll know when you need it." 3 days later, Jake Sullivan found himself in a small room with President Hayes. She had asked to speak with him privately. "I need to know everything about these aliens," she said. "Not just their military strength. I need to know how they think, how they organize themselves, what they fear." Jake thought about his time on the alien station. "They're arrogant. They think they're superior to everyone else. The coalition isn't really an alliance of equals. It's more like an empire with the Creature in charge and everyone else serving them." "Weaknesses?" "The smaller species don't seem happy about taking orders from the Krathery. I saw fear in some of their eyes when General Vexthal was talking. And they were surprised by how quickly humans learn and adapt." "They called it dangerous." President Hayes nodded. "Good. Fear and division. We can work with that." "Mr. President, there's something else. When they killed Claire, they broadcast it to their entire territory. They wanted everyone to see what happens to species that oppose them. And it means they rule through terror. But it also means they're not used to real resistance. They expect everyone to surrender after a show of force." President Hayes smiled grimly. Then they're about to get a very unpleasant surprise. Across the solar system, humanity prepared for war. Factories that had been making cars and computers switched to building weapons and ships. Scientists who had been studying peaceful uses of alien technology turned their knowledge to creating instruments of destruction. On Mars, the colonial Marines began training for zero-gravity combat. On the Moon, new shipyards worked around the clock to build vessels designed for one purpose: hunting aliens. Children asked their parents why the adults looked so angry all the time. The answer was always the same: bad people had hurt someone good. And now the bad people were going to pay. Commander Torres stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Vengeance, as it prepared to leave Earth's orbit. His crew was young but determined. They had all seen the footage of Claire Martinez's murder. They all knew what they were fighting for. "Navigation, set course for the edge of Coalition space," he ordered. "Sir, what's our primary target?" asked his weapons officer. Torres looked at the star charts showing alien territory. Somewhere out there, General Vextu thought he had won. He thought humans would hide in their solar system and wait to die. "Any coalition ship or station we can find," Torres replied. "We're going to teach them that murdering diplomats is a very bad idea." The Vengeance and her sister ships engaged their new stealth drives and disappeared from all sensors. They were ghosts now, invisible hunters carrying the fury of an entire species. The aliens had wanted to make an example of humanity. Now humanity was going to return the favor. The war for the galaxy was about to begin. Commander Alex Torres watched the alien cargo ship through his bridge screen. The vessel was huge, carrying supplies to a coalition mining station. Its crew had no idea that 3 human warships were following them, invisible and silent. "How many aliens on board?" Torres asked his intelligence officer. "Scans show about 50 crew members, sir, mixed species. Looks like they're hauling processed metals and energy cells." Torres nodded. This was their 3rd week of hunting coalition ships. So far, they had destroyed 2 military patrols and captured 1 transport full of weapons. But this target was different. This one would send a message. "Lieutenant Maya Brooks, are you ready with the broadcast equipment?" Maya looked up from her station. She was young, barely 25, but she was the best communications expert in the human fleet. "Ready, sir. We can override their systems and broadcast to every ship and station within 10 light years." "Good. Weapons, prepare to disable their engines. I want them alive for this." The Vengeance dropped out of stealth mode right behind the cargo ship. The aliens must have been terrified to see a warship appear from nowhere. Their ship tried to turn and run, but human weapons were faster. Blue energy beams struck the cargo ship's engines, leaving it dead in space, but intact. Torres opened a communication channel. "Attention coalition vessel. This is Commander Torres of the Earth Defense Force. Prepare to be boarded." The alien captain's voice came through the speakers. "High and frightened. Please, we are civilians. We carry only cargo, no weapons." "I know what you carry," Torres replied coldly. "And I know what your people did to our ambassador." 20 minutes later, Torres and his boarding team were inside the alien ship. The crew huddled together in their cargo bay, all different species, but all equally terrified. Torres had seen this fear before. These aliens were used to being the strong ones, the ones who made others afraid. Torres activated his personal recorder. Maya would broadcast this message across coalition space. "I am Commander Alex Torres, speaking for Earth and all humanity. 3 weeks ago, your coalition murdered Ambassador Claire Martinez during a peaceful diplomatic meeting. You thought this would frighten us into submission." He walked among the alien crew as he spoke. "You were wrong. Humans do not surrender. We do not forgive, and we do not forget." Torres stopped in front of a blue-skinned alien who was shaking with fear. "This crew will be released unharmed because unlike your leaders, we do not murder innocents. But your ship and its cargo now belong to Earth. He turned back to the camera. To General Vexthul and the Coalition leadership, every day you delay. Justice for Claire Martinez, we will take one of your ships. Every week you refuse to surrender those responsible, we will destroy one of your bases. We are patient, we are persistent, and we are coming for you. The broadcast ended. Torres ordered his team back to their ships. The alien cargo vessel was left drifting with its crew alive, but their cargo holds empty. Within hours, the message was playing on every Coalition world. The reaction was immediate and violent. On the Kratheri homeworld, General Vexthul threw his communicator across the room. How are they doing this? How are they getting past our sensors? His aide, a nervous fellow named Crix, pulled up tactical. Reports. Sir, they appear to have developed some kind of stealth technology. Our ships can't detect them until they attack. And our losses? 17 ships destroyed or captured in 3 weeks. But that's not the worst part. Vexthul's eyes narrowed. What's the worst part? The humans are broadcasting everything. Every attack, every capture. Other species are starting to ask questions about why we killed their ambassador. On the mining world of Kepler-7, the vegan workers watched the human broadcast on hidden screens. They had been slaves to the Coalition for generations, forced to work in dangerous mines while the stronger species took their profits. They stood up to the Kratheri, whispered one miner to another, and they're winning. Impossible, replied his friend. The Coalition is too strong. Then why are they so scared? Have you seen how many extra guards they've posted? Similar conversations were happening across Coalition space. Species that had been forced into the Alliance began to remember what freedom felt like. Lieutenant Maya Brooks was monitoring these communications from her post on the Retribution. She had cracked the Coalition's communication codes within days of starting her mission. It turned out that aliens weren't any better at computer security than humans were at first contact diplomacy. Commander Torres, you need to see this, she called over the inner ship. Torres appeared on her screen from the Vengeance. What have you found? Sir, I'm picking up secret transmissions from at least 6 different Coalition species. They're asking each other questions about human capabilities and Coalition leadership. What kind of questions? Things like, why didn't the Coalition try diplomacy first? Why are human ships so much more advanced than expected? And most importantly, if humans can fight the Kratheri this effectively, what does that say about Kratheri power? Torres smiled. This was exactly what President Hayes had hoped for. Any direct contact attempts? 3 so far. 2 from vegan worlds and 1 from a Felid trading station. They want to know if the offer of alliance you mentioned is real. What did you tell them? That Earth is willing to talk to anyone who wants freedom from oppression. Torres nodded. The plan was working perfectly. Earth couldn't match the Coalition in a straight fight, but they didn't need to. They just needed to make the Coalition's member species realize they had other options. On the bridge of the Fury's Edge, Captain Lisa White was preparing for their most ambitious raid yet. Intelligence suggested that a major Coalition communications hub was lightly defended. If they could capture it, they would have access to military codes for the entire sector. Are the new quantum torpedoes ready? She asked her weapons officer. Yes. MAAM, Dr. Morgan's latest gift. These can punch through any known shield technology. And the boarding teams? Ready and eager, ma'am. Marines are getting tired of just blowing things up. They want to capture some actual intelligence. The attack came at dawn on the hub world. The Coalition defenders never saw it coming. Human ships appeared from nowhere, disabled the station's defenses, and had boarding parties inside before anyone could send a distress call. Within 2 hours, the station was in human hands. The intelligence bonanza was incredible. Fleet positions, supply routes, internal communications between coalition leaders, and most importantly, evidence of what the coalition really was. Maya Brooks nearly fell out of her chair when she decoded the files. "Commander Torres, you need to see this right now." "What is it?" "Sir, the coalition isn't just an alliance. It's an empire built on conquest and slavery. And they've done this before, dozens of times. Any species that shows promise gets the same treatment we did." "Meaning?" "Meaning we're not just fighting for revenge anymore, sir. We're fighting to liberate half the galaxy." Torres looked at the data stream showing coalition atrocities going back centuries. Entire species enslaved or wiped out for being too intelligent, too independent, or too dangerous to the established order. "Maya, broadcast this to every world in coalition space. Let everyone see what their leaders really are." "Yes, sir." "But Commander, once we do this, there's no going back. We'll be starting a galaxy-wide revolution." Torres thought about Claire Martinez dying alone on an alien station for the crime of offering friendship. Then he thought about all the other species who had died for the same reason. "Good," he said. "Let it burn. All of it." The broadcast went out that night. By morning, 3 coalition worlds were in open revolt. The rebellion started on 3 worlds and spread like wildfire. Within a month, 12 coalition planets were fighting their Crothery overlords. The humans had kept their promise and sent weapons and advisors to help. Captain Lisa White stood on the bridge of her ship, the Defiant, watching the largest space battle in galactic history unfold before her. The coalition had sent their main fleet to crush the rebellion, but they hadn't expected to face a combined force of humans and liberated aliens working together. "Enemy dreadnought is targeting us," called out her weapons officer, Lieutenant Ben Clark. "Evasive maneuvers," Lisa ordered, "and return fire with the new plasma cannons." The Defiant twisted through space like a dancer, avoiding the massive energy beams from the coalition ship. The human vessel was smaller and faster than anything the aliens had seen before. Lisa's crew had trained for this moment for months. Fire erupted from the Defiant's weapons, striking the enemy dreadnought's shields. The alien ship shuddered under the impact. Its captain had never faced weapons that could adapt their frequency to match whatever they were hitting. "Direct hit on their main weapon array," Ben reported. "They're losing power." Around them, the battle raged. Vegan fighters, built with human technology, swarmed around coalition cruisers. Felid bombers, guided by human tactical computers, struck at enemy supply ships. And leading them all were the human warships, each one worth 3 enemy vessels. Commander Alex Torres watched the battle from his flagship, the Vengeance. 3 months ago, humanity had been alone against an empire. Now they led an alliance of 8 species, all united by their hatred of coalition oppression. "Sir, message coming in from the surface of Kepler 7, said Lieutenant Maya Brooks. "The vegan liberation forces have taken the capital city. They're asking for our terms," Torres smiled. The Vegas had been slaves for 200 years. Now they were free, and they wanted to know what Earth expected in return. "Tell them we expect nothing except friendship and mutual respect. And remind them that any species that joins our alliance keeps their independence." This was what made the human alliance different from the coalition. The aliens had ruled through fear and force. Humans offered partnership and freedom. It was a lesson the galaxy had never learned before. On Earth, Dr. Kate Morgan was working around the clock in her laboratory. The captured coalition technology had given her ideas for weapons that would have seemed impossible just months ago. "President Hayes, the new ships are ready for testing," she reported during their daily briefing. President Linda Hayes looked tired. Running a war across multiple star systems was exhausting, but she never showed weakness. "What makes these different from our current ships?" "They're not just faster or stronger," Kate explained. "They can think. The new artificial intelligence. Systems can predict enemy movements and adapt tactics in real time. It's like giving every ship a genius tactical officer. And the Coalition can't match this? No, ma'am. Their technology is advanced but rigid. They've been using the same designs for centuries. They don't innovate the way humans do. They don't take risks. President Hayes nodded. This was humanity's greatest strength. When faced with a problem, they didn't just try harder. They tried differently. Back in space, the battle around Kepler-7 was reaching its climax. The Coalition Fleet Commander, Admiral Zekthar of the reptilian species, was growing desperate. His forces were losing ships faster than he could count. All vessels, concentrate fire on the human flagship, he ordered. If we can destroy their leader, the rebellion will collapse. 50 Coalition ships turned their weapons toward the vengeance. Energy beams and missiles filled space, all aimed at Commander Torres and his crew. But Torres had been expecting this. Maya, activate the Fury Protocol, he ordered calmly. Sir, are you sure? We've never tested it in actual combat. Do it. Maya's fingers flew over her controls. Around the vengeance, space itself seemed to bend and twist. The ship became dozens of ships, all identical, all moving in different directions. The Coalition weapons struck empty space. Every target was a hologram except one, and the aliens had no way to tell which was real. Impossible, Admiral Zekthar whispered. How are they doing this? His science officer, a nervous creature with too many tentacles, checked his instruments frantically. Sir, our sensors show 50 enemy flagships, all in different locations, but that's not possible. Which one is real? I don't know, sir. The answer came in the form of quantum torpedoes emerging from what seemed like empty space. The real vengeance had been hiding among its own holograms, invisible until the moment it struck the Coalition. Flagship exploded in a ball of fire that could be seen from the planet's surface. Admiral Zekthar died never knowing how the humans had fooled him so completely. With their leader dead, the Coalition fleet began to retreat. But the human-led alliance wasn't finished with them. Captain Lisa White led a pursuit force that hunted the fleeing ships across 3 star systems. By the time they were done, the Coalition's main fleet had been reduced to scattered survivors running for their lives. On the planet below, the vegan people celebrated their freedom. They had never imagined that liberation was possible. For generations, they had accepted slavery as the natural order of things. A young vegan named Crix approached the human landing party. She had learned their language from intercepted broadcasts and wanted to speak to them directly. Why did you help us? She asked Commander Torres when he came down to the planet's surface. What do you gain from our freedom? Torres thought about Claire Martinez, about her belief that all species deserve dignity and respect. We gain allies, we gain friends, and we gain the knowledge that we're making the galaxy a better place. Crix translated this for the other Vegas. The concept was so foreign to them that many couldn't understand it at first. The Coalition had always taken. The humans were giving, but the war was far from over. General Vexthal, the Krathari leader, who had murdered Claire Martinez, was still alive and still fighting. Intelligence reports showed that he was gathering the remaining Coalition forces for one final assault. This time, the target wouldn't be a rebel world or a human outpost. Vexthal was planning to attack Earth itself. Maya Brooks intercepted the communications during a routine scan of Coalition frequencies. When she decoded the message, her blood ran cold. Commander Torres' priority message, she called over the comm system. What is it, Maya? Sir, the Coalition is planning a direct assault on Earth. 300 ships, including their remaining dreadnoughts. They're going to try to destroy our homeworld. Torres felt anger rise in his chest. The aliens were willing to commit genocide, rather than accept defeat. They would rather destroy humanity than let them exist as free beings. When? He asked. 2 weeks, sir. They're gathering at the edge of our solar system. Torres looked at the star charts showing the positions of the human fleet. Most of their ships were scattered across the galaxy, helping liberated worlds or hunting down coalition remnants. Maya, send a message to all human ships and allied forces. Tell them to return to Earth immediately. And contact President Hayes. Tell her that Vexthul is coming to finish what he started. Yes, sir. And Commander? What? This is going to be the biggest space battle in history. Torres nodded grimly. The alien who had killed Claire Martinez was finally coming within reach. Soon, humanity would have its chance for justice. General Vexthul stood on the bridge of his massive warship, the Death's Hand, and stared at the blue planet ahead of him. Earth looked so small and peaceful from space. Soon it would be nothing but burning rock. All ships, prepare for planetary bombardment, he ordered his fleet. 300 coalition vessels had followed him to humanity's home system. It was the largest force ever assembled in galactic history. Sir, we're detecting movement near the asteroid belt, reported his sensor officer. Multiple contacts approaching. Vexthul smiled coldly. Let the humans come. We will crush them in sight of their homeworld. But as the contacts grew closer, his smile faded. There were not just human ships approaching. There were vegan fighters, Felid cruisers, Aquarian destroyers, and vessels from 6 other species that had once served the coalition. How many enemy ships? Vexthul demanded. 250, sir. But they're outnumbered. Good. Signal all vessels to attack. The Battle of Earth began with the largest exchange of weapons fire in galactic history. Energy beams and missiles filled space. Between the two fleets, ships on both sides exploded in brilliant flashes of light. Commander Alex Torres watched from the bridge of the Vengeance as the battle unfolded around him. This was it. Everything they had fought for came down to this moment. Maya, open a channel to all ships, he ordered. Channel open, sir. Torres took a deep breath. All allied vessels, this is Commander Torres. Today we fight not just for Earth, but for the freedom of every species in the galaxy. Remember Ambassador Claire Martinez. Remember what we're fighting. 4. The response came from dozens of ships at once. Human voices, vegan clicks, Felid growls, all united in their determination to end coalition tyranny forever. Captain Lisa White piloted the Defiant through a storm of enemy fire, her crew working like a machine. The ship's new adaptive weapons were cutting through coalition shields like they were made of paper. Ben, target that cruiser's engine core, she ordered her weapons officer. Firing quantum torpedoes, Ben replied. The enemy ship vanished in a ball of fire. But for every coalition vessel they destroyed, 2 more seemed to take its place. On Earth, President Linda Hayes watched the battle from the underground command center. The fate of humanity hung in the balance above her head. Status report, she asked Admiral Rick Carter. We're holding our own, but barely. The coalition has more ships, and their dreadnoughts are heavily armored. President Hayes nodded. She had 1 more card to play, but it was dangerous. Contact Dr. Morgan. Tell her to activate the Sol defense grid. Admiral Carter looked surprised. Ma'am, we've never tested that system. We don't know if it will work. We're about to find out. In space, the battle was reaching its peak. The coalition forces were slowly pushing the Allied fleet back toward Earth. General Vexthul could taste victory. Then something changed. Energy began building around the sun itself. Solar collectors that had been hidden in space for months suddenly activated, drawing power directly from Earth's star. What's happening? Vexthul demanded. Sir, we're detecting massive energy buildup throughout the system. The humans have weapons platforms hidden everywhere. Before Vexthul could respond, beams of concentrated solar energy erupted from a dozen hidden stations. The weapons were powered by the sun itself, more powerful than anything the coalition had ever seen. 3 coalition dreadnoughts died in the first volley. Their shields couldn't handle the raw power of a star focused into a weapon. Impossible, Vexthel whispered. No species has ever weaponized a solar system. His science officer was frantically checking his instruments. Sir, the humans have turned their entire home system into a fortress. There are weapon platforms, sensor arrays, and defense grids everywhere. Dr. Kate Morgan smiled from her control room on Earth's moon. She had spent months preparing for this moment. The Coalition thought they were attacking a single planet. Instead, they had walked into the most elaborate trap in galactic history. Fire sequence 2, she ordered. More solar-powered weapons opened. Fire. Coalition ships began exploding faster than their crews could react. The mighty fleet that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries was being torn apart by the ingenuity of a species they had dismissed as primitive. General Vexthel realized that his position was hopeless. Half his fleet was already destroyed, and the humans showed no signs of running out of weapons. Signal retreat, he ordered reluctantly. Sir, the humans are jamming our communications. Individual ships are trying to flee, but the Allied fleet is pursuing them. Vexthel watched in horror as his grand fleet fell apart around him. Ships scattered in all directions, only to be hunted down by human-led squadrons that seemed to know exactly where they were going. Commander Torres had been waiting for this moment. He guided the Vengeance through the chaos of the battlefield, heading straight for the Coalition flagship. Maya, jam their engines. I want Vexthel alive. Jamming complete, sir. The Death's Hand is dead in space. 20 minutes later, Torres walked onto the bridge of the enemy flagship, surrounded by armed Marines. General Vexthel stood waiting for him, his golden skin pale with defeat. So you've won, Vexthel said bitterly. What now? Will you execute me as I executed your ambassador? Torres looked at the alien who had started this war by murdering Claire Martinez. For a moment, he imagined putting a bullet through Vexthel's brain. It would be justice, but then he remembered Claire's words about building a better galaxy for everyone. No, Torres said finally, you're going to stand trial. A real trial with evidence and witnesses and justice. Something you never gave Claire Martinez. 6 months later, the trial took place on the rebuilt Nexus Prime Station, now renamed Martinez. Station in honor of Earth's fallen ambassador. Representatives from 30 species attended to watch justice being served. The evidence against Vexthel was overwhelming. Not just for Claire's murder, but for centuries of Coalition crimes against dozens of species. The courtroom was filled with survivors of Coalition oppression, all waiting to see their oppressor face judgment. Dr. Emma Lewis, a human lawyer who had studied galactic law for this moment, presented the case against Vexthel. Her voice was calm but firm as she described the evidence of systematic genocide and slavery. When the verdict came, it was unanimous. General Vexthel and his accomplices were sentenced to life imprisonment for crimes against sentient beings. The old Coalition was disbanded. In its place, the Galactic Alliance was formed, with Earth as one of its founding members. Every species had an equal voice. Every world had the right to govern itself. A year after the trial, Commander Torres stood in the memorial garden on Martinez Station. A statue of Claire Martinez looked out at the stars, her face calm and hopeful. President Hayes joined him there. She was older now, worn down by the years of war, but proud of what humanity had accomplished. Do you think she would have approved? Hayes asked, looking at the statue. Torres thought about everything that had happened since Claire's murder. The war, the destruction, the liberation of entire species from tyranny. She came here believing in peace, he said finally. But she also believed in justice. I think she would understand that sometimes you have to fight for peace. Hayes nodded. The galaxy is different now, free, because one woman was brave enough to extend her hand in friendship, and her people were strong enough to avenge her when that hand was slapped away. They stood in silence for a while, watching ships from a dozen different species dock at the station. Humans and aliens working together, building something better than what had come before. Claire Martinez had died believing in a future where all species could live together in peace. Her death had started a war that freed half the galaxy from oppression. In the end, her dream had come true. Just not the way anyone expected. The memorial plaque beneath her statue bore a simple inscription. Ambassador Claire Martinez, she died for peace, but her sacrifice brought justice to the stars. And in the vast darkness of space, that justice burned brighter than any sun.